going on, y'all? Nick here, coming to you with another video. Guys, check this one out, all right, you guys? So we have Representative Hageman that drops the craziest truth bomb at this hearing.
First of all, I want to say thank you for being here. You are four incredibly brave women, and you're my heroes. You have been willing to put yourselves out there to address something that many people want you to stop talking. They want to prevent you from talking. Don't listen to them. Make sure that you continue to use your voice to educate us, to educate the American people, because these children are worth saving. Dr. Bowens, I want to thank you for being here. And in your testimony, you referenced what I think is one of the more important points in this debate, and that children are treated as special and a vulnerable class in the psychological and research fields. You referenced the experience of at Tuskegee, and to me, the important takeaway here is that controversial so-called healthcare practices, treatments, and experience have not always withstood the test of time. Outside of your reference, I think of how lobotomy was once a form of care we wouldn't even consider today, and in fact has been banned in countries throughout the world. In this debate, I have wanted to replace the misleading terminology gender-affirming care, especially as it relates to children, because one, it replaces the biological reality of sex, and two, because it falsely suggests that using the term affirming that there is anything good going on here. There are only two sexes, boys are girls, or boys are boys, and girls are girls, and one cannot become the other. In fact, and especially when it comes to children, it seems to me that gender-affirming care is better described as sexual lobotomy. Wow. It is treatment that is fundamentally and permanently alters the sexuality and medical and psychological well-being of these patients. It causes irreversible sterilization and serious long-term medical complications and long-term reliance on pharmaceuticals. These treatments and surgeries are controversial medical practices that seek to change a person in a manner which is not actually achievable, and they will not withstand the test of time. Dr. Bowens, are there medical professionals in the US and abroad already rejecting these surgeries as any form of serious medical care?
I just hit 13 million subscribers on my YouTube channel, Hacksmith Industries. And the secret to that success is vidIQ, which has given me an...
Yes, thank you for your question. And we are seeing an increase of medical professionals speaking out. Just this past week, there were 21 doctors that came out and said, we are very concerned about this. The own AAP, American Academy of Pediatrics, was referenced earlier, and 80% of their membership has been asking for a review of the literature, and they've been denied that review by the upper echelon. So there are, and I've listed many other countries, there are people who are standing up because they're seeing the harms done to these kids like Chloe Cole.
Can you discuss why referring to these treatments as life-saving treatment is so extremely misleading?
Yeah, it's misleading for a number of reasons, because for one, the whole impetus of the scientific method is that we're discovering things. We're supposed to be in a process of, is this the right approach or not? And this whole discussion about saying that it's life-saving automatically says there's no room for discussion, there's no room for scientific inquiry, because the science is settled, which is, it's an amazing statement, because the suicide literature has been around far longer than the transgender literature, and the suicide literature is not conclusive. So we have a real, right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing in this case.
It seems to me what we've been living through for the last couple of years is a government that wants to suppress any type of speech that it disagrees with. And we're seeing that with the industrial censorship complex that we've been talking about. And it appears that that's exactly what's going on here.
You know, that's a very good point. I mean, even with, you know, that disease that should not be named, you know, the jabs, right? I mean, how many times did they say, oh, I must take the jab. You need to take the jab. This is life saving, right? And then we've come to find out that years later that a lot of people actually got harmed because they took the jab. Yep. Here and still, the government was trying to shut anybody who had an alternative mindset and an alternative option to taking the jab. These people were demonized, ostracized. Some people even lost their job because they didn't want to take it. So what exactly is going on in the government? Why are they pushing these things so hard that in the name of saving lives, but in actuality, they're doing more harm than good?
They want to stop the debate because they know that they can't win it. Dr. Bowens, my last question is what is the success rate of sex change operations?
Well, we have, it's hard to find longer-term data with children, but what the data that we do have, which is probably the most reliable data point available, is from a Swedish study, and it looked at over 10 years, which is really important because regret doesn't just happen a year after some sort of transition. And what you see is a suicide rate that's associated with 19 times higher than the general population.
Well, actually, there is a 0%, there's a 100% failure rate for sex change operations, isn't there? Because it's not possible to change your sex.
That's right.
100% failure rate for these procedures.
That's right. You can't change your sex.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Wow. We need to protect this woman, Representative Hageman. We need to protect this woman. Please, you guys, do not allow this woman to be canceled. We need people with common sense in Congress. We actually need people with common sense that are representing us. We do. Because for her to say there's a 100% failure rate, that is such a profound statement because it is true. I mean, you cannot try to thwart, you get what I'm saying, or usurp the Most High's authority and what he has set up. He made only man and woman, and one or the other cannot transition to become the opposite gender. It just cannot happen. So why are we appealing to mental illness? Why are we appealing for the sterilization of the youth? Why are we promoting this? And like she said, it's literally lobotomy. This is so scary because, again, can you imagine living in a world where your children will literally be unable to reproduce? What happens to your family legacy? What happens to your family legacy? What happened to all that hard work that you put into your family? Are you telling me it's going to just be cut by a whole generation of people who wish to be the opposite sex? If you've been following this channel, I've been following this topic for a while. This topic of how America and the medical system seems to be utterly failing young women today. Failing women how? Failing women because they actually are trying to force women to go in the locker room and change in front of biological males. Or in the case of Chloe Cole, who I covered in this channel, where she's a detransitioner and they were really just pushing her to do it without her. I think she was only at the age of 12 years old, if I recall. So she was going through puberty. She didn't feel comfortable in her skin, and they were just forcing her. No, it must mean you're a boy if you feel awkward, da-da-da. And now she literally said that her childhood was ruined because she had to, cut off her breast. She did all these things that now she's going to be stuck like this for the rest of her life. But I'm so glad because, again, you listen to this hearing where this woman, this representative, just drops the craziest truth bomb. Man, you guys, please, once again, please protect this woman. If you guys like videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment down below because it does help. And with that being said, Nick over and out. The message sent. Jesus is King, y'all.